I am very happy to speak with our next guest. He's a native Chicagoan, just like myself. He's a musician who has worked with B.B. King, Chuck Berry, and Jerry Lee Lewis, among many others. He's also been on a mission to have conversations, create relationships, and convert members out of the Ku Klux Klan. I'm excited to talk to him about his journey and learn from his experience. He is the one and only Daryl Davis. Daryl, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy. Really appreciate it.
So now I'm going to show you, there's a famous TED Talk that you did, and I'm just going to play a few clips so people get a gist of what's happening, because you tell a great story of how you turned the Grand Wizard of the KKK away from the KKK. So here's how it starts.
Well, this is a police officer's uniform, a Baltimore City police officer in particular, named Robert White. He gave me this uniform when he and I became the very best of friends. But, I first heard about Robert White when I was a teenager. And then I later met him. I met him just a month after he got out of prison. He was in prison serving a sentence for assault with intent to murder 2 black men with a shotgun, and another sentence conspiring to bomb a synagogue in Baltimore. Now, I am a professional musician. I tour all over this country and around the world playing music. So how do I end up with a policeman's uniform? He worked for the police department by day, but he also had another job, which required a different kind of uniform. He was the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan for the state of Maryland. This is his robe. This is what he wore when he conspired to bomb the synagogue and when he made plans to kill 2 black men with a shotgun.
So that's fascinating. Now, what made you decide to reach out to someone like that?
Because I wanted to understand the mindset. How do people arrive at that mindset that they're going to carry out these things? Is it a personal hatred? Is it their patriotic duty? Where does this come from? Because I know you're not born with that ideology. It's learned. So if it's learned, it can be unlearned. But I need to know the source. Where is it acquired from? So it's more a curiosity for me.
So basically and you came up with this question when you were 10 years old. Here it is.
So at the age of 10, I formed a question in my mind. That question was, how can you hate me when you don't even know me?
And that's very powerful, because you go on to explain where it comes from, and this is pretty interesting.
The story of one another. Thus, ignorance breeds fear. We fear those things we do not understand. If we do not keep that fear in check, that fear in turn will breed hatred, because we hate those things that frighten us. If we do not keep that hatred in check, that hatred in turn will breed destruction. We want to destroy those things that we hate. Why? Because they cause us to be afraid. But guess what? They may have been harmless and we were just ignorant. We saw the whole chain almost unravel to completion had the bodyguard drawn his gun and shot, namely me or my secretary, because it's his job to protect his boss and protect himself. Or had I pounced and hurt one of them, trying to protect myself or my secretary. We did see that whole chain unravel to completion 3 months ago in Charlottesville, Virginia, 2 hours from where I live, because ignorance was present, fear was present, hatred was present, and destruction occurred when a white supremacist got in his car and tried to mow down people and resulted in killing one young lady named Heather Heyer. So we carried on with this interview.
So I thought that was really instructive, how you say it comes fear, ignorance creates fear, fear creates hatred, and then that creates violence, right?
Yes, because listen, we fear that of which we're ignorant. And I don't use ignorant in a derogatory sense. I use it as being unaware, unknowledgeable about it. So we fear something of which we're ignorant. If we don't address that fear, then it can escalate because we dislike the things that frighten us. And that dislike then turns into hate. And the hate, if we don't address the hate, that will escalate and turn into anger because we're angry because something, caused us to be afraid. And that anger then escalates into destruction. And that's what we see. So everything from the top down, destruction, hate, and fear, we keep trying to address those things. And we're wasting our time doing that because destruction, hate, and fear are all byproducts of the nucleus. They are the symptoms. The nucleus is the foundation, is ignorance. If we cure the ignorance, then there's nothing to fear. If there's nothing to fear, there's nothing to hate. If there's nothing to hate, there's nothing to get angry about and destroy. But the good thing is there is a cure for the ignorance. That cure is called education and exposure. And when we provide those things to individuals or groups or whatnot, then we have cured the ignorance and they have nothing to fear. That's where we should be directing our resources, not addressing the destruction and the hate and the fear, but the nucleus.
That's beautiful. That's exactly right. It's I grew up in a racist, like I was telling you before, a lot of racial tension in my neighborhood.
How did you escape it?
There was 2 black kids in my grammar school, and I was supposed to fight them. And I was fighting one of them. And right in the middle, I just was like, I got sick to my stomach. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I was doing. And I knew I didn't know what I was doing. And I still remember it. And this lady came out and she's like, "What are you guys doing?" And she said, "You're just little kids." And I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? What is this?" And so we became friends. And, it was a violent neighborhood in general. Mm-hmm. And so that was a big change for me. That's what did it for me. I just didn't make sense. And then I could understand how he felt out of place in a white school. There's only a few black kids in it and stuff like that. And it just changed me. And, yeah, I could just see he was,
man. That's powerful.
I could just see that he was just another kid and that he had it worse than me. And, I didn't know. I can't even explain it. I just was like, what am I doing? And
that's interesting, and that's very, very powerful. And, you said it, you were feeling exactly what I was feeling. You said it just didn't make sense to me. And that's exactly how I felt, Jimmy, when somebody threw rocks and bottles at me when I was the only black kid marching in an all-white Cub Scout parade. I didn't realize, it was racist. I just thought the people who were doing this didn't like the Scouts. I didn't realize I was the only Scout getting hit until all my troop leaders came running over. They all were white too, and covered me with their bodies and to protect me. And I realized, well, nobody else is getting this special protection. Why are they hitting me? And all they would do is shush me and rush me along and not answer the question. And when I got home, my mother and father were putting Band-Aids on me. They were not at the parade. And they were asking me, how did I fall down and get all scraped up? And I told them what happened. I didn't fall down. I told them, people threw things at me. And they sat me down and explained what racism was. I had no clue whatsoever. And it made no sense to me. I was 10 years old, and my 10-year-old brain could not process the idea that someone who had never seen me, never spoken to me, knew absolutely nothing about me, would want to hurt me for no other reason than the color of my skin. It didn't make any sense to me. And so therefore, I didn't believe my parents, because I had white friends who looked just like the people on the sidewalk who were throwing things at me. So I could not, compute that in my brain. And this is 1968. And about a month and a half, 2 months later, Martin Luther King was assassinated. And every major city in this country, including right there, Chicago, where you are, burned to the ground, all in the name of this new word that I learned 2 months prior called racism. So then I realized this thing does exist, but I didn't know why it existed. And that's when I formed that question: how can you hate me when you don't even know me? And for the next 52 years, I've been looking for the answer.
So I want to show it. This was such a big deal that 60 Minutes profiled you. So I just want to show this because it's very instructive of the whole, what you consider to be the most important ingredient. So let me just play this part.
And this clip was shown every hour for 24 hours all over the world. I want to show it to you right now, and I want you to pay particular attention to what Mr. Kelly says. He says that even though he and I would do different things together, it did not change his views on the Klan, because his views on the Klan had been cemented in his mind for years. Then he goes on to say how he believes in separation of the races, because he finds that to be in the best interests of all races. But listen to what he says about respect towards the end of the clip. Please show the clip.
Davis is one of the few African Americans you will ever find attending a KKK rally. More than attending, he is welcome.
I got more respect for that black man than I do you white niggers out there.
It's been a tough day for the Klan. Their Maryland rally found many local residents rejecting the message of white separatism. After it's over, Daryl Davis hangs around backstage with his friend, Klan wizard Roger Kelly. It's not unusual for blacks and whites to be friends, but it is unusual to find a black man and a Klan leader chatting pleasantly over an orange soda after a Klan rally. The relationship started over a book Davis was writing. His secretary set up an interview with Roger Kelly, but didn't tell him Davis was black. They talked and talked some more. Davis learning about the Klan, Kelly learning about Davis.
We get to know one another and we do different things, it hasn't changed my views about the Klan, because my views on the Klan's been pretty much cemented in my mind for years.
Kelly and his Klan friends go to hear Davis and his band. And Davis goes to their rallies.
I sat on the front row and listened to each Klansman speak. Some things I agreed with, other things I did not agree with.
Davis thinks that his presence promotes badly needed understanding.
Hate stems, I believe, from fear of the unknown. And I think this is all across the board, regardless of whether it's a Klansman or anything else.
But he has no illusions about the Klan. If he did, his friend would be quick to disabuse them.
And I believe in separation of the races. I believe that's in the best interest of all races.
Does he really? Or has friendship transcended the color barrier? Listen to Kelly at a Klan rally.
I will follow right man to hell on back, because I believe in what he stands for and he believes in what I stand for. A lot of times we don't agree with everything, but at least he respects me to sit down and listen to me. And I'll respect him to sit down and listen to him.
The strange relationship of a KKK wizard and his black buddy. In Washington, I'm Carl Rochelle, CNN Sunday Morning.
Respect is the key. Sitting down and talking, not necessarily agreeing, but respecting each other to air their points of view. Because of that respect and my willingness to listen and his willingness to listen to me, he ended up leaving the Klan, and there's his robe right there. I am a musician, not a psychologist or sociologist. If I can do that, anybody in here can do that. Take the time to sit down and talk with your adversaries. You will learn something and they will learn something from you. When two enemies are talking, they're not fighting, they're talking. It's when the talking ceases that the ground becomes fertile for violence. So keep the conversation going. Thank you all very much.
So that's amazing, and the point that you make about respect. And so tell me, how long did that take for him to go from not knowing you to giving you his uniform?
Him in particular, let's see, about 6.5 years.
And so
some happens sooner, some happens later, you know.
And so when you when you started engaging the KKK and the Grand Wizard and people like that, were they suspect of you?
Some were, of course.
I mean, black people
on both sides.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Some thought, you know, I'd gone off my rocker. I was selling out. I was an Uncle Tom, an Oreo. I got called every name but my own, man. You know.
Okay, because that's we're experiencing a lot of that right now at this show. So that's amazing.
You know what though? You know, anytime you do something that is not the norm, you will have your share of detractors. And I always think about Copernicus, the astronomer. You remember Copernicus was the one. Yeah, he was the one who said the Earth revolves around the sun. And Earthlings, being egotists, we thought we were the center of the universe. The sun revolves around us. They called him a heretic and put him in jail. And then later on, of course, he was proven right. So, you know, years ago, a couple decades ago, people were calling me these names, and so some still do. But they were calling me all kinds of names and thinking I'm crazy and stuff. Now those same people are calling me and saying, Daryl, you know those people, man. Tell us what's going on. What's going on? You know, help us understand. I'm thinking, you know, if you had listened to me 20 years ago, you'd know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.